Good evening, everybody. And if you're just tuning in, you are listening to 105.3 out of Mississippi and 107.7 out of the beautiful city of New Orleans, Louisiana, to UFO Paranormal Radio and United Public Radio Network, or just UPRN. And this is the Angel Rock. I'm your host, Lorilei Potvin. A little bit about myself. I am a Canadian psychic medium, crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher, and mentor. I'm a registered nurse. I'm also a budding animal communicator, well versed in near death experiences, having studied them professionally and personally for over 40 years, almost said 20. It's been 40 years. My guest just popped in. We were having a few technical issues. That's what happens when we get into Australia. So I told him I'll bring him on when I'm going to introduce him. We do things a little different tonight because he moved to a different room. So hopefully we can get things working for you guys. Where was I here? Lost my train of thought. Also I said I'm also well versed in the paranormal. Was never by choice, but we've shared our story on the Travel Channel's season 4. Episode 9 called Demonic Hauntings. So if you like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe and tell all your friends and family. There's something for everybody on this network. We're always getting new hosts. It's been around for 25 plus years. We stream to every country in the world, believe it or not. And we stream multiple shows daily, 7 days a week. And when we're not streaming live, the archive server randomly picks shows over the last 25 years and pops them in for everybody to listen to. So there really is quite a variety of content on our network. So please tell everybody about that. Also, if you want to watch us on TV, you can, because we have a TV channel now. We're on Roku. So how you can find us is you're going to go to the channel store and you're going to type in UFO space P as in paranormal. And there's a drop-down list. We're about the third or fourth one down. And you're looking for UFO, paranormal, and United Public Radio. And that's us. Tonight we're streaming over there. So far, last week it didn't want to behave, but we're over there tonight. And many of the shows are streaming over there. I'm so glad we saw someone in the chat. I'm thinking, okay, I know we're going out everywhere. I haven't seen anybody here yet. Also, I want to let people know, we have quite a large audience, but 80% of it is over on audio. So if you want to join in the conversation, like Cindy Simpson, who's here already, what you're going to need to do, there's a few places you can head over to. You can go to UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio Network on Facebook and YouTube. You can also go to my channel on YouTube, which is the Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin. We're streaming on Canada's Most Haunted, the UFO Paranormal Radio page, like I mentioned. Also, I am streaming on the Angel Rock on Instagram. So if those of you over on Instagram, please don't think I'm ignoring you. This show, and I'm going to mention my second show in just a second, are both very audience participative. Without all of you, I would just be talking to my great guests, which would be wonderful, but we like to share what we're talking about. So thank you here for all your support. But I can't see the comments over on Instagram. So I will try and pop over to see you all. And I think they fixed the issue, but it looked like they were cutting the show off after an hour. But I didn't see the little warning on StreamYard. So hopefully they fixed that for us. Okay, I think I remembered everything. So hang on. Last thing I want to tell you about, as it just moved on me. So come out and hang with us in Thunder Bay in northwestern Ontario, Canada, which is where I live, this October 4th to 6th, 2024. For the Lake Superior Paranormal Convention. Tickets are available now. The VIP plus, and then there's the Supernatural and VIP pass tickets are limited. And I've heard already they're over half sold out. I hear there's quite a few people flying in to see this. So there's going to be talks, there's workshops, paranormal investigation, and vendors. Guest speakers will include Shane Pittman, Jeff Belanger, our own Carrie Lynn Shellhorn. She's a UPRN host here. She has an amazing show on Fridays from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern, and that's Spirit Switchboard. She's an incredible medium and psychic. She's also a paranormal investigator, and she's just amazing and a very good friend of mine. So I finally get to meet her in person. Let's see who else. Oh, she's also going to be giving a special event on the Sunday, and she's going to be giving messages from Spirit, and it's called the Spirits and Sweets event. You guys don't want to miss it. The Travel Channel's Beyond the Haunting, Chris Ratowski. He does UFOs and Bigfoot and things like that. And we got Dee McCauley. dark history. He's got a pretty good YouTube channel. He's about an hour outside of the city, and it's called, I just had it in my head, Thunder Striker Films. He's done quite a few interesting paranormal films on YouTube. We've also got the Winnipeg Paranormal Group and so many more, including myself. I'm going to be doing a talk there, and I will have a table. So I'm going to be selling all kinds of resin pieces and all kinds of little goodies there. So we want to give special thanks to Lucky Paranormal, who was on the Angel Rock here a couple of weeks ago, and they're the ones putting it on. So you're just going to look up Lake Superior Paracon. .com, and that's where you can get tickets. I asked the ladies, Gail and Mel Willis, who are putting this on, if they might stream it online. I know they're going to look into it, because I know a lot of you may not be able to come over to Thunder Bay, but you may be able to watch it. So keep your fingers crossed for that, and I'll certainly let you know if I see that. Lastly, how could I forget? I also do a second show on this network. It's called The Thing at the Foot of the Bed. And I co-host that with my very good friend. He's an angel channel and a medium. Many of the things that I do, David Hansel, and that's Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here. Okay, I think I remembered everything. I'm going to bring Stephen on, and then I'll read his bio. Poor man's been sitting in the background. Oh, that is so much better. I could tell. I can hear you. You're
You
not
can
hanging.
hear me and see me. Oh, good.
Yes. Okay. Hi, Contessa Martins. So I'm going to read his bio. He's been on here before. Y'all wanted him back. He was here right at the end of November before Christmas. I can't believe that went by so quick. So his name is Stephen Chong, and he's an incredible author of multiple books, as well as he's an expert designer and conductor of workshops of quality. Sorry, I got two workshops in here. Of quality workshops based in a multitude of areas and personal development. He's also in Australia, and he's working with, as well as working with groups, and also on a personal one-to-one basis. And tonight we're going to be continuing our discussion, and I didn't even get a chance to ask him. We'll see what he's got cooking up, if he's got any more books in the hopper there. And it's called The Afterlife, A Journey To, discussing near-death experiences, laws between heaven and earth, and so much more. But you have a character that you tell this story through, don't you, Stephen?
Yes,
Welcome.
indeed.
Welcome.
Hey, and I've got to tell you, Lorilei, something very interesting coming up. In
Ooh.
in in July this year, my wife and I are going to the Scottish Isles. She's a Scot, and
Nice.
we're touring around on purpose a lot of the old castles, particularly the haunted ones. So I don't know I don't know what it's going to reveal, but it's certainly going to be interesting. So I'll report back when we've done
Ooh,
the
I'd
tour.
love to. Too bad I couldn't get. I'm booked into almost September. I think I was just thinking that'd be so cool. I know you'll be busy, but I thought, wouldn't that be cool? You're in a spooky spot and you can just stream for a few minutes and show us.
Yes, I'm not sure what we're going to find, but I'm certain that it's going to be opening.
Well, that's certainly one of the places to go for, I mean, old world history. But I don't know, were you on when I had Douglas? I was trying to remember his name. It just blanked out on me. He's from Australia. I don't think I told you this story either, did I? Okay, so
No,
it happened. I Another one of Gavin's great authors. Oh, gosh, it's driving me nuts. I got to look it up. Give me a sec. And I know I've had him on twice. You think I would remember his name, but no, because this is an interesting story. So he is a Canadian he's a lawyer, was a lawyer. He's an author now, and here we go. I see it. Douglas. What is your last name? Come back. Of course, he doesn't want to give me his last name. Give me his last name. Oh, I gotta look through here quickly, because he was talking about near-death experiences, but from research. This is gonna drive me crazy. Hang on, I gotta go over there. Anyways, so I had about 3 minutes to talk to him before we went live. I gotta look him up on here, because this is such an interesting story. It just shows you what a small world the world really is. Of course, it's not going to show up probably, but we'll try. We'll see. I'm on the website for the books. Come on. Yeah, just give me this. I'll look it up. Oh, wait, I think it might have showed up. Did it show up? Yes, it did. Douglas Hodson. I should have remembered his last name. I have a relative through marriage. Her maiden name is Hodson. Anyways, so we're talking, and I said, "Yeah, I see that you have dual citizenship." And he goes, "Yes." He goes, "I did a little research about you." And I said, "Really?" And he says, "Yeah." He goes, "Guess where I was born and spent the first 30 years of my life?" And I said, "Where?" He says, "Thunder Bay, like where I live." I don't live in a big city. Like I live smack dab in the middle of Canada, and it's very close to the United States. You have to come
Yes.
through my city if you're going from the west to the east, or vice versa. Or say you want to go through to southern Ontario or even further into the States, you have
I've
to
got
come
it.
through
Yeah.
the city. We only have 100,000 people. What are the chances of having somebody living over in Australia? Like we were talking about stuff from my city. We both knew what it was and went to
Oh,
the
well,
same
nothing,
university.
nothing by accident is there in this universe.
Well, there certainly isn't. So, what was the decision? We're going to get into your book in just a sec, but I didn't get this opportunity to catch up ahead of time because we were having so many issues. So, what made you, besides that, your wife, that obviously she's from, the Scottish Isles or Scotland. So, what made you guys decide, both of you decide that you wanted to take the trip in July?
The original purpose was my wife's mother's 85th birthday coming up. And
Oh, well, happy
so,
early
she wanted to go back for her mum's birthday, of course. I said, okay, I'm following. Yeah, I'll be there after. Uh, but she then asked me, like, what are we going to do? Is there a theme you want to follow? I'm getting slower in my old age. Then it dawned on me, let's follow the castles. So, of course, then I've sat down there and I've plotted.
I think you're
Yeah,
cutting out again, Stephen. I'm getting like every third or fourth word. Can you? I don't know.
opting out again. I've got you loud and clear.
Okay, now you're back. I think it's when you sit back, it might, because you were perfect. Go ahead. Sorry. So you were
Oh,
talking about the
okay.
castles I got. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, we've just plotted the course around the Scottish Isles, particularly going in and just looking at all those supposedly haunted castles. So I have no idea what we're going to find, but who knows? I'm sure it'll be quite revelatory. Um, and maybe I've got to tell you, grist for the mill for the next book, because
Oh,
this in train,
what's it called?
chapter 4. Oh, I
Okay.
haven't got a title. I haven't been given a title yet, so I can't tell you. Again, it's all happening in heaven, but to date, I've only been taken to what you would call the nether regions, the really not so salubrious parts. In writing it,
I don't know why. I don't know why it keeps cutting out on us, my friend. I don't know. Are you able to make, because when you're close, it's perfect. It's just as soon as I can't ask you to sit still, but we'll do our best here. So this is it. Oh no, now I got you frozen. Oh no. Oh no. We might have to. I'm wondering if he can turn off his camera, maybe. That might help. Let me see. No, that's not going to do it. Let's see. I'll try popping you right back in. See if that works. You guys, can you see us? Because we got lots of crazy stuff going on here. Yeah, it's his signal, and I apologize. He's over in Australia, so we're going to do our very best here. I might have to ask him to. Yeah, he popped out, so he'll probably pop right back in, guys. And I apologize, but when we're dealing with Australia, and he had said they were working on the internet for him. He's a fantastic guest. He was on here, like I said, at the end of November. I know you can see me, honey, but did you hear? Did you hear him? Like it kept cutting in and out, so we really weren't getting a lot of the conversation. But he is phenomenal. So the book, he was on here with the book, and what he did was he actually had an what he says, like, I don't know if you caught about the nether region. So he kind of had a near-death experience, as I remember it. He was working on the roof of his house, and the ladder let go, and he fell back and hit his head and I don't think he actually stopped breathing and his heart stopped, but he ended up in the hospital. It was a pretty nasty fall, but he had a near death like experience. Hi, Kevin, Z Sun Dragon. And he ended up writing a book about it, but he wrote it from AFTA, from the perspective. So it was kind of like telling the story, but using non-fictional. Hopefully we haven't lost him. Hopefully he might have tried to move to a different room, because that's what we did. And I said, well, how about I start and you come in, and this is what's been happening. I was going, Kevin, who's Vindy? Because Kevin says, or Z Sundrag, goes, hi, Vindy. I'm going, oh, am I missing someone? And I realized it was Cindy. We'll see if we got anybody over in Instagram. I know he'll be back on here. It's just kind of sad because we were fine and he seems to come in loud and clear. And then I've got him on Messenger anyways, if he messages me over there, and we'll see what we can do. I might get him to turn off his camera too, because the camera ends up taking up a lot less bandwidth. So let me see. I'll make sure he hasn't messaged me. No, hasn't messaged me. So he's moving around. It's windy. It's very windy there today, Kevin. It's very windy here tonight too. It wasn't, but it is now. But if it was my signal, you guys wouldn't hear me or see me. You wouldn't at all. So cross our fingers. But I know he had said they were messing around with the signal. So I'm guessing he already moved once in the house, because I asked him, do you have a phone that maybe we could try it on the phone? We'll figure this out, you guys. Don't worry. We'll figure something out. I've never done this before. I don't even know if it probably wouldn't work, and it's not the time to play with it. But I was even thinking, gosh, if I could just pull him in on Messenger or something. Oh, he's lost the link and it's not coming back. Hang on, we'll try again. Okay, just 1 second. Hang on. Let's see. I'm going to say try restarting your device, and I will send you the link again. I know he has it. So we'll get him to restart it. Sometimes that will help. So give me a sec, guys. Got to multitask here, but that's the fun of live radio. Yeah, hopefully. Aw, thank you, Michelle. You're so sweet. She said you're doing great, Lorilei. Thank you. Well, you know what? I've been doing this a long time. I never planned to be a podcaster. I can honestly tell you that. I was just sitting there in my old haunted house quite a few years ago, and somebody I'd met, they messaged me and said, would you like your own show? And I was going to say no, and I heard spirit say yes, so I did. And I had, oh, he's back, and I'm yapping away. Here he is. Good thing we got each other. Hi.
Hello.
Now
Have you
you're
got me?
perfect. You're perfect, because everybody's going to go, hopefully he gets better service.
Oh well, I just went to hotspot, so obviously it probably the Wi-Fi on my end. I don't know, but anyway, now I'm on cellular data, or whatever it
Are you
is
going to be
thing.
okay with that?
Yeah. It's all
Yeah,
fine.
I've done that before myself. I have 3 devices here. And before I got a new computer, and still sometimes it'll do it. The wind and everything else will kick in and the signal will be so bad. So I'll go to a phone, I'll use anything so that I'm not leaving. Sometimes if it's
Yeah.
by myself, right? Well, actually, Z's Dragon and Michelle Plummer's here too. They're all saying hello. He's over in the East Coast in Canada, and he said it's got 24-kilometer winds and it's -1. Ooh, that's cold.
That's
Ooh, it's
cold.
getting colder.
Yes. Oh, ouch. I've got to tell you, apropos to weather, we've just come out because we're in rainforest here in far north Queensland.
Right.
Over Christmas, in 4 days, we had just under 2 meters of water. So
Oh
that,
my gosh. Are you serious? I'm
oh,
serious. That shocked me.
it was cyclonic, and
Oh
it
my
was terrible.
goodness.
Luckily, and there was lots of flooding and landslides and roads going underwater and things. But yes, incredible weather conditions. Uh,
Was your house okay?
yeah, yeah. Fortunately, we're on a hill,
Oh,
but
thank goodness.
it was so wet. Everything. the internal ceiling went completely black, totally black through mold.
My old house was completely full of black mold. Did you have to get it removed or anything removed?
Oh, no, 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 no. I just had to get up and clean the ceiling. Uh,
I forget this. I guess coffee. Be careful with that because it's really dangerous.
oh, yeah, I know. And I'm not allowed up on ladders anymore, as we've discussed.
I was starting to tell your story, and people were going, "I hope it gets a better signal," because I had so many people here that wanted you back on here, and I wanted you back too. Zisa Dragon or Kevin had said, "Welcome back, Stephen," and yeah, we're
Thank
glad.
you very much.
So I was
That's
starting
it.
to tell them when you were talking about something about the next book, and then all I thought was chapter 4. That was it. So
Yeah, it's very interesting because, I go totally on inspiration. I don't think anything. I don't do storyboards or anything. It's when I get the urge and it's like a trigger. It says, Stephen, I'm there waiting for you. It's ready. And I hadn't had that for months. So
do you want to
6.
let people know? Because there's people here who have not heard your story. Because I didn't do it justice while you were here.
Oh, okay. So let's take a back step.
Sure.
Let people know how things happened. It
Yeah.
was back in late 2019. I'm up cleaning out the eaves on the
Mhm.
house, as you do when you're in the 60s, because you think you're still bulletproof.
I'm going to be 59. I hear you.
And yeah, and we're very remote here. There's no near neighbours or anything. We're in rainforest,
Mhm.
uh, and it's about where I was about 15 feet above the ground, and the ladder slipped, and I just was on a. The ladder went through all of these uh, louver windows, so there's glass everywhere,
Oh my
and
God.
I've just, I'm in a crumpled heap on the ground, and I couldn't feel below my neck, and I remember distinctly thinking, Stephen, you are in trouble here,
Did
but
it feel like in slow motion? I have to ask you because I walk with a cane with my back injury from being a nurse, and I have fallen, and it always feels like it's in slow motion. And I always hear, I don't know if y'all got these commercials over there, but we used to see them way back in the day where it'd be the old person that had fallen, and it was always for those life alert that they could push the button for help, and it would be help, I've fallen and I can't get up. I would always hear that when I'd fall. But anyways, or
yeah,
did it
yeah.
happen quite quickly?
Well, luckily, because this was a Saturday morning, and normally my wife is not here. She goes off shopping or doing whatever.
Okay.
This particular morning, God's, be thankful to the gods that she was here and she heard me scream
Oh, thank
and she
God.
was able to come and get me. Otherwise, I would have been lying there, couldn't move, and probably dead from, I don't know,
But you
lack of
said,
help.
okay, so you said you couldn't feel anything from the neck down because I told them you had fallen off a ladder and you were doing something with the roof. But your heart, I think I remember asking you the last time, your heart didn't stop, nor did you stop breathing, but you were really critically injured, were you
Oh, I
not?
was critically injured. Yeah,
Mhm.
I didn't know it at the time, but I'd fractured my neck. So,
Do you know
and it
how,
took.
do you know at what level? Did they tell you did they
Oh,
say
it was a
see?
micro. It was a micro fracture. So somehow I've managed to turn again. It's all thanks to the gods. Turn my hands downwards, so I've taken pressure off the fall, but still, and I've fallen in amongst all this glass, and barely got a cut. So,
Oh my God. Because the reason I asked you being a nurse, I know how terrible breaking your neck can be. Never mind anything above it's called C4. You probably know this. You're gone. You're done. Like you
gone,
can't
done.
breathe. You
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
breathe. Mhm.
yeah, yeah. That was my initial thought when lying there was, Stephen, you are in strife. You're in trouble here. And I remember that was so clear. But here we stand. It took many months in the rehabilitation. I was good for nothing really for months. Could barely walk, could barely move. But that's when all of the revelations were given, that's when I talked before how I got the urge to write,
Mhm.
and I had the title of the book in my head, and it was like spinning a wheel, and I denied it. It was like Peter denying the presence of the Christ. Go away, leave me alone. I'm done. I'm finished. I'm not writing anymore. But I couldn't resist. I couldn't resist. And as soon as I'd opted in, if you will,
Yeah.
as soon as I've agreed, that's when the revelation started, and I sat not knowing anything about what I was going to write. I had only the title in my head,
So the
uh,
afterlife.
The Afterlife, yeah. And as soon as I put fingers to keyboard, it was just there.
Because
The
I keep feeling, and only you can answer this, being more, psychic and with the mediumistic, that this is like literally automatic writing or channeling. As you said, yes, it was literally like, was it like just funneled through you to the keyboard? Hi, Julie Evans. Hmm. Do you think it was funneled to you through the keyboards? Basically, like you said, okay, fine, I'm going to write again. So as you start to write, it just, like you said, it just sort of came through you, or was it like a download? Or
Yes, it's very interesting. The two ingredients that I consider most important is, one is that choice. I've chosen to say,
yep.
okay, I'm in.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
first and foremost. But the second thing was to trust. Every time I sat, I knew I had no idea what I was going to write. I mean, the afterlife, heaven, what do I know, really? But it was there, and it was so clear. The I because it's first person dialogue. I heard the dialogue, and the colours, Lorilei, were just oh beyond description, and the
I had
music.
a near death experience.
Mm,
I'm so sure of it. My parents never told me. I mean, this was back in the early, well, I was born in 65, so this would have been about 1967 probably. I was like barely a toddler, and I kept seizuring at a fever of over 106. And the last time I seizured right in the emergency room, because they kept sending me home. And as the story goes, they took me in the back. My parents didn't know what happened. And I think I was in the hospital, if I remember correctly from the story, for a good week or so. I was really, really, really ill. So when people talk about near death experiences, I don't necessarily remember the experience per se, but when you start talking about the colors or the music, or to even try to describe the feeling of love, like that, we
mm.
don't have the words to describe it, do we?
Yes. My sentiments exactly, because I saw, again, being taken through the different realms of heaven. I'm doing my best to describe with limited language. You can describe the seven colors of the rainbow. That
That's
does
nothing.
not do it justice. No, it was 100 times that.
I was
And the
going to say
music was,
bajillion, multiply by a bajillion.
and the language that was coming through to me, which I just dictated, it was like old Victorian English, and I don't speak nor think like that. It was just, so there was it was, let's call it a download, but whatever it is and whatever it was, one is so thankful for the experience,
Mhm.
because it's taught me so much and allowed me to talk to lovely people about the experience.
I have to ask you before we reset, because we were talking about you going to spooky castles, and I had this thought. So have you had any, what we, that would be a paranormal experience? It's, everybody thinks paranormal, and I'm not saying you. I mean the grand scheme of things, a lot of people think paranormal means ghosts and stuff, but when we break it down, right, it just means anything beyond what the majority would consider the norm.
Hmm.
If you could even measure the norm, you can't, or normality. But have you had other experiences, maybe
I
not
could,
the same, but with
yes,
spirits?
I could remember a number through, particularly through the teenage years,
Mhm.
where yes, there were. I can remember one distinctly where the words were so clear, like it was like having an angel sitting on your shoulder speaking to you. So there are a number of experiences through the early years. But like many people, you know, you get caught up in life, you know, careers and family and children and so that tends, you know, these other connections tend to get put aside a little bit. But sometimes, as in my case, it took an experience, a profound experience of near death to put me back on track. Unfortunately, it's taken until I'm 65
Yeah, but
for
do you
these things to
think
happen.
maybe, right? Like, because when things happen that I don't like when they happen, and life happens to all of us, and it's maybe something not so pleasant, I try to remind myself that everything is happening so cliche for a reason. And I always try to tell myself that I'm right now, I'm here in this moment, right? Because then we start to get really, as a whole, right? Fear is one of our lower vibrational emotions, and we let it guide us as human beings. Because I loved what you just said earlier, that you said yes, and the other thing you did was you trusted.
Mhm.
And it's so true, right?
True.
If we always, jump and the net will appear. Like, I remember when I first started this journey years ago, my children were young, and I've had it around me my whole life too. And I remember, I mean, I really couldn't move very well with my back either. And I never planned on doing this type of work. I was going to be a doctor. And here I was, never able to return to work or anything. So I was trying some different healing modalities. And I remember being very worried about finances and all kinds of stuff. And this lady was doing a modality on me called body talk, which still blows my mind to this day, because your body tells the practitioner so many things about yourself that you might even forgotten that she
Mm.
helps clear stuck energy. And what she said to me was, "Do you have everything you need right now?" And I said, "Well, I guess, but," and she said, "No pets. Do you have a roof over your head?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "A bed to sleep in?" "Yes." "Do you have enough money to pay your bills this month and feed your children?" "Yes." "Then you have everything that you need, and trust that you will always be looked after."
Mhm.
It was.
Isn't that interesting?
Mhm.
One of the many profound things that I've learnt from the
I
writing of
just.
the book and the experience is our guides are always there. We are never absent support. So it's like they're sitting on the shoulder. What is absent often is that we don't listen to the guide.
So, who do you think that voice was? If you had to take a guess, and you don't have to take a guess, but if you thought, do you think it was your guides? Do you think you were tuning into your higher self, or it just doesn't matter? You just knew it.
Honestly, I don't know. I really don't know. And in in some ways, it doesn't matter because I know the sources of love,
Yeah.
and it's a great gift.
Hmm.
So who it was, I could not say.
That's how
Um,
I am too. I don't care.
yeah.
I did
So
know. I did years and years and years and years ago, first getting into this field and learning. I mean, it's a whole new world that you learn. And thinking, I asked all the questions like, who are my guides and what are their names and when am I going to meet my angels and when am I, and I've suddenly learned over the years that it doesn't really matter. And what spirits, I call it collectively spirit, but I say what they showed me is, and when I teach and mentor people to connect with their own guides and their abilities, is
yes,
that take a couple deep breaths, clear your mind, and then very clearly in your head ask, what is my guide's name? Names. And I don't care if it's Bob or it's Pokaroo, whatever the name is, I don't care.
whatever. Yeah.
Whatever it
Yeah.
is, if you make the agreement with your guide that is there, and you start to know what they feel like, they know that human beings need names, right? But we start to know them by energy feel. Would you agree?
Yes, exactly right. And interesting, you know, I don't know if I told you this last time. When I was
We ran out of
dictating
time.
uh, when I was dictating the book, yeah, writing it, there were different characters come up, and every time I ask, what's your name? And was like, straight away. I would have it. And the heavenly names, not Bob or Fred. When you go into the heavenly realms, you are designated with a name that bespeaks of your status and position in the heavenly realms and the work that you are to do.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is
Well,
very
let's talk
interesting.
about the main character, because I was trying to explain the book that it's based on true fact that you've received, but you told it in story form. And I'm probably not going to do the main character's first name justice. Is it Afta?
Athar, yes,
Afta. I
yes,
knew it
yes.
was something like that. Okay.
Yeah. So for your audience, by way of background, Athar in life, as a child, was abused under the auspices of the clergy. And
Oh.
later on in his life, he took his own life. He suicided. So he was stuck. Where I met him, he was stuck in this purgatorial state,
Technical. Mm-hmm.
uh, where he was, by virtue of his anger and his pain and his guilt and suffering, he was stuck in there. He couldn't get out. He could not see the light that
Mm-hmm.
was there waiting for him, but he couldn't see it. And it took meeting up with the bishop of the see under whose insouciance he was abused. So they met up and they were able to forgive one another.
On
So
the heavenly side.
on all in the heavenly side, yes. So
Interesting.
that forgiveness, Athar's ability to forgive those himself and those that caused him so much pain, was the key to unlocking his transference into the heavenly realms. And thereby, so he and he showed me all of these different levels. So he through his eyes, I saw him exit through this purgatorial state, and he took me through all of these different
So
levels.
did he show you a purgatory, and did he show you a hell per se, or tell you about a hell? Or because I'm always interested in people's perspective about this, because I always say none of us are going to know the answers till we go back home ourselves. But what was your perception from what he showed you?
In in this purgatorial state, he was entrapped by his own pain and suffering. So he had to release, that had to be released, and it was released through this forgiveness of others. But then when what I saw, it was so profound. He, if you imagine these mists, deep dark mists, and what I
Mhm.
saw, there was a portal where souls exited these mists. And as I understand it, these were the mists of purgatory. So where you do your life review and you see what you've done and things are weighed to balance. But what I saw were these many souls exiting uh, these mists, and they were robed head to toe in these long flowing robes. And the robes had designated
I
colors.
was just going to ask you that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, don't think seven colors of the rainbow. Think, so there were some souls that were beautiful, white, gold, shimmering, and they exited and followed. There was a pathway designated specifically for that particular soul, and it
Okay.
was determined. It was shown in the colors of the robes. For example, I saw uh, uh, a woman coming out of these mists, and she was dressed in dark Hessian brown type colours.
Oh.
And she'd obviously been a naughty in her life.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened, she saw come to these crossroads, and she obviously thought her station was beyond her experience. She tried to go up to the higher levels,
Mm-hmm.
but she couldn't. She walked, and there was a force there that she stopped. And so she went back, tried another path upwards, couldn't do it, wasn't allowed. Nobody helped her. 3 times did she do this, and then eventually she recognized there was a pathway designated specifically for her. And it kind of, I don't know where she went, but she went down to lower levels. But that the color of the robes designates the pathway that you follow. And other souls can see your robes and know exactly what you need. This is all love here.
I
There's
just
no,
love what you just said. Know exactly what you need. I knew you weren't going to say they know exactly what you did. I knew you weren't going to say that, but I just love how you said that. No, exactly. So they
yeah,
can help you with this, is what you're saying.
yes, there's no absence of love here nothing like that. It's not hell's fury or judgment or whatever. This is by virtue of the actions you've taken in life,
Mm-hmm.
what you've done to others causes the pathway you then follow. So what you've done in life determines where you go into the heavenly realms. It's one of the most profound laws. Let me read it to you.
I
Um,
forgot. Yes, you have the laws in there. Okay.
yeah, what you have cause to affect in your fellow man is what declares your place in heaven. What you cause to affect in your fellow man. We are all one in spirit. So what you do to another, you do to yourself. Therein lies to the profound judgment of the heavenly realms.
So, okay, I'm just asking because this is so interesting. I know I remember, like, I mean, it seems like it was yesterday you were on here, but right then it's all coming back as we're talking about this, about the spiritual laws. So what, okay, what, how this, I have so many questions. I need to know how to word it. Because where does karma come into play with this? Because the way I've seen it and the way I've always believed it, but I don't know all the answers. I tell people that all the time, is that when, say, like, we've been at all eventually, like the people that are wearing the golden robes, I would expect they've done it all. We've come here for that experience, and then the pain that we cause others, right? And then when we go for the life review, we get to see how our actions affect others, but through emotions and what they experience, and maybe where it led their lives, or what have you, right? But then in the next life, we may have to be on the receiving end, to not receiving is not a good word, to experience it from the other perspective. So I'd love to hear
Yes,
about karma. Mhm.
yes, that's very interesting. The I must say, in this book, I did not see or was not given any inference to reincarnation. I wasn't shown any of that. This was just this.
What did you
So,
say it was before we got cut out? You said, when we were talking about your second book, and we're going to talk about it, you said you were only allowed, I forget what the name of it was, that you said how far you were allowed to see.
uh, oh, in the new book, you mean? In the next?
Wait, no,
No.
you said what from this book was written from this perspective, because you were only allowed, oh, I forget what's the word you used.
Oh, okay,
Mhm.
okay. Yeah, I am. There's two areas, the profound areas that I was taken to. One was I described it last time, but the nether regions.
That's what you said,
So,
another reason. Thank you,
yeah,
thank you, thank you.
okay, yeah. So let me give you a description of this, or your listeners a description. With a guide, I'm not on my own, and remember, I'm seeing through Athar's eyes. He's showing me. I'm seeing what he's showing me. So we walk through this. Uh, could only be described as an area like a bushfire had been through. Like
Okay.
it's rather desolate, and the smell of ash was quite profound. As
Sounds
we
like it's one
walked,
step up from what we might think hell is, if that's purgatory.
this is scary enough.
Yeah.
Well, but we enter through this huge portal, and inside, and I can remember feeling not fear but trepidation when I'm walking through. So that's why this guide is with me. So inside this portal were these massive spinning vortices, power, power, power vortexes.
I'm being shown chakras, almost like chakras or chakras.
Yeah, it was, but that's I'm just writing what I'm seeing. And in these vortices, there are these souls that are entrapped within. So they're stuck, and some of them are trying to get out, and some of them are being pulled back down. And I turn, and there's a number of these vortices, and I turn to the guide and go, like, this is horrible. What is this place?
Mm.
And he said, this is not God's judgment. This is not hellfire. This is where souls are entrapped by choice. Think of the 7 deadly sins: lust, avarice, and I can't remember the others.
Lust,
Uh,
greed, pride,
greed,
sloth, envy.
yes,
Oh,
envy.
I'm
That's
missing
close to 7,
close. I
but
think that's 5, but we're close.
we're close.
Mhm.
But souls are entrapped there by their own choice, and they need that this power vortex is one of purification. They have, once that soul is able to repent, they have become contrite and say, I'm sorry, I want to leave. There were angelic beings standing around next to each vortex, awaiting souls to be contrite, to repent. And as soon as they did, they were then taken away from that power source.
Wow.
If in in seeing that, if that does not turn one away from errant choices in life, I I don't know what will.
See, now that okay, so when you had these to be able to see through his eyes, were you sleeping or were you meditating
Oh,
or
no, no.
while
Ah,
you were laying there not
uh,
able to move?
that's a very good question. Yeah, this is how it worked. Um, every morning, remember this book come out in 3 or 4 weeks, and was just written in a very short space of time. Because I would wake in the morning, I would go, you've got stuff on, you've got things to do, and I'd say to Spirit, okay, 1 o'clock, you're on.
Mhm.
So it's like making a reservation.
And you can. Yeah.
Sure.
Mhm.
And so at 1 o'clock, I would shut off the outside world. No beeps and buzzing things, no phones, no
Mhm.
interruptions. So I like the Get Smart cone of silence. um, so that would allow an uninterrupted stream of consciousness.
Okay.
And like I said before, every time I sat, it was just there. I just wrote. So,
Yes.
but that was the process.
Okay.
So if I would not allow any interruption, it would only last an hour or two maybe, and then I was tired and need alcohol. But but
It never does the job.
there it is. Uh,
Yeah.
but that's how it worked.
Mhm. Interesting, because I've never heard it described like that. Mind you, I haven't heard of every near death experience because I've looked after patients that have had like a cardiac arrest. The one floor when I graduated, it was such a horrible floor to work on, in the fact that it just was so stressful, but I chose it purposefully because it had cardiac step down. I'd worked in the ICU before I graduated for my clinical, and I really enjoyed the ICU. So it was cardiac step down. We had radiation, like people would come in for cesium insertions and stuff. We had post-operative. We had palliative care. We had anything you could think of, we had on this floor. But I purposely went to it because I knew I would get such a well-rounded post-university experience that I'd be able to pretty well pick and choose where I wanted to work. And it wasn't from an ego perspective. It was, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. So I wanted to kind of try it all. So I would have people that would have, like, say, a cardiac arrest, and then we'd resuscitate them. Luckily, the people that would come back, and I worked a lot of nights. And so, I mean, I became a nurse because I love people. I didn't so that's one of the reasons why I love nights. It wasn't that it wasn't busy, because back in my day, we did everything from processing doctor's orders to filling out forms to writing the medication tickets to mixing our own medicate. We did everything. But when that was all done, right, there would be people awake at night, and you'd go in rounds and you'd see them awake and sit with them for a while. And I was so deeply blessed, I feel, for people to share their experiences if they had one while they were clinically not alive.
Yes, 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 yes.
And
Yeah, isn't it interesting? It sounds rather trite, but the key is love. You know,
I don't think it's right.
to feel that love in your heart for, not just for yourself. I mean, this is a process of self love, and that to me unlocks that door to. Yeah, the spirit says, "Oh, okay, I can get in now." Yes, but you've got size 15 feet that you've tripped over. None of us are free from making mistakes, but uh, I'm here. The spirit says, "I'm here for you." Love and feel that love, and that's the force of attraction, and that opens that door to all these beautiful possibilities that you mentioned. And what it doesn't take, I'm certain, is a profound experience like falling off a ladder. Falling off a ladder is such an experience. It says, yes, it redirects you to a
But
divine
would you
purpose.
have slowed down and been able to listen had you not had that experience?
That's a very good question.
Mm-hmm. Same as
Probably
with
not.
my back injury. I had no intentions of being where I am here. My horrible, horrific paranormal experience, like for years in my previous home, that I never in a million, I always say I wouldn't wish on a blade of grass, and I'm no better than a blade of grass, but I don't look back in anger or in any negativity, because I don't think I'd be doing what I'm doing today had I not experienced that.
Yeah, yeah.
So for yourself, like, would you have taken the time to stop and you were forced to have to lay still and do what you did, right?
Yes. What I'm certain of is that these NDEs or STEs, whatever we want to call them,
Mm-hmm.
they do two profound things. They first one is that they redirect you. I'd given up writing. I was ready to retire. Leave me alone. I don't want to write anymore. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Done
um,
enough of that.
yeah, well, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
And so that by choice, I become redirected. Okay, Stephen, or to spirit, I'll write. I'm in. So I'm redirected to a divine purpose. And the second profound thing these experiences have is that they imbue you with the power you never knew you had.
I think that's part of my mission with no ego, but to remind humanity of whomever I connect or hears this, to remind them how incredibly powerful we are. I didn't mean to stop you there because I agree 100%.
There you go. That's it. So, this power, if you call it that, it says, okay, Stephen, you'll write the book, but it's okay. I'll give you the words. I'm here
Mhm,
with you. So that's a power you never knew existed. So it's
mhm,
opened up that channel, and thank the gods that it did. And it's a great gift. And it's not just a gift for oneself. It's a gift, as you rightly described, for the benefit of others. You
mhm.
put the word out there for those that have the ears to hear. Um, that's our job.
Well, it is right, and we come here, I think, with free will. And we do have a question. We got a couple questions here. So, but I'll just share this thought is, there's two paths really. There's service to self and service to others, and I know we have a choice, right? And some people are going to choose service to self. I always think, I don't know their journey. I don't know why they're here or what they're meant to experience. But I do believe that's the answer is exactly what you said. Love, self love is hard. It's hard for all of us. We are our worst inner critic voice than
Aren't
anybody
we?
could
Yes.
ever be. And then
Yes.
on top of that is, forgiveness. How many people, and when I'm talking about it, and it's hard when people have done some really awful
Very
things
hard.
to you, but it's not a matter of you don't ever have to forgive what they did to you, but who they are as a person or as a soul, or we're all a part of each other. What you said earlier is so true. What we do to others, we do to ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. One of the laws which I understand from, I found, I don't know if I talked about these last time, but there I found
I think you
embedded.
read them. I know. I was going to ask you to, by the end. We'll get, if you're open to it, I'll get you to read them again. But
Yes. Well, one of the laws. Let me find it and read it to you.
okay, and then we
Um,
got a couple questions from people
oh,
already.
okay.
So
I'll go.
I'll take this off while you're reading them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So forgiveness is at the heart of your ultimate realization.
Mhm.
That very much describes exactly what you're talking about. Forgive self and forgive others.
And it's hard.
It's very hard. Yes,
Mhm.
indeed. But
Mhm.
as it says, it is at the heart of your ultimate realization. So
It is, and then it's almost like you think you got it, right? And I always say the universe will keep presenting opportunities while we're here too, for why we're here or what we might want to work on. And then, it'll keep showing up. And then I always say when somebody thinks, including myself, we think we might have got it, right? It's not going to show up again. It's almost like the universe presents it maybe a year or two later. Have you really got it? Just to see.
Lorilei, I've got to tell you that the more I learn about this stuff,
Yeah.
the less I know.
I you know what? I
Oh,
say this all the time. I say, not so much on air, but in my personal life, that we all think life is just what we see around us. And then when I say you take the lid off Pandora's box or whatever you want to call it, you can't put it back on. Or I always say you open the doors to the paranormal. And again, we started this show off with the paranormal does not mean just ghosts. It means anything people don't consider within normal, the majority of people consider is the norm. If we I know the norm isn't measurable, but you know what I mean. So
yes.
I always say the more I crack that door open, the more how infinitely massive it is compared to the life here just seems so just a little dot compared to you. I'm never going to know all the answers.
No, and that's why questions are kind of cool. You know, back to the describing the writing process.
Mhm.
When I sat to, each time I sat, because I never knew where it was I was being taken, but I would always ask what I call a constructive question, like,
Interesting. Mhm.
what am I going to write about that? I'll leave out any profanities, but
Mhm.
what am I going to write about that? A very profound question, because what I know is spirit answers every question.
Mhm.
It, 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 but you have to ask the right question.
Well, I
Like
will tell you, for example, the Akashic Records, the way I've been taught with my mentor, she's amazing. Anybody listening that's looking for a mentor, Amy Robeson, she's got Sacred Awakenings on Facebook and what have you. She's got a podcast now, and but she personally picked out 3 crystals for each of us that she channeled from spirit, and wasn't a small class. And she's in Los Angeles, so she's a long ways from where I am. We had people from all over the world. Then she gets you not to drop into your heart chakra, but your heart space. Okay. And we use the crystalline energy and love, obviously. But we call them the masters, teachers, and loved ones. And could I connect with just one of them? Yes. But a collective gives you a much more well rounded perspective. Big, long explanation. How we get the answers, and when I do readings for people, is we ask questions and then we follow it up, but they have to be the right type of
question.
questions. And for example, um, I get a lot of people that'll come to me that are in a, been maybe hurt or in a relationship, or they're very, very concerned about, say, a child of theirs or a sibling or whomever it may be. They want to know what's going on with them, right? And I always tell them, if that's what you're, because I'll always ask people, why are you booking a reading or a session? And I'll tell them, I can't do that for you. Can I do it? Absolutely. Will I do it? Absolutely not. To me, that is like breaking into somebody's front door, walking along because I like what I see in the window and I'm going to help myself. So I will not. Plus, it's a spiritual law. You do not do that. But when we ask the right question, how can I bet, for example, somebody whose sister received a very troubling diagnosis and they're very, very concerned. Instead of asking what's going on with my sister, what we could ask the masters, teachers, and loved ones is, how can I best be of service or assistance to my sister as she's going through this journey?
Beautiful question.
And then
Yes.
we follow it up with more and more questions. And the beauty with the Akashic Records, the way I've been taught to do it, working with the masters, teachers, and loved ones, is they always meet the person whom you are reading for or for yourself exactly where you're at. So you're never going to receive something scary or something you're not prepared for. And you get some great answers when you go in there too. But exactly what you
Yeah.
said with question.
Yes. Isn't that wonderful? And you know, yeah. When I could imagine as a client being with someone like you that's so open to the beauty of spirit, the answers will be there. But for many people, uh, uh, they try. The rational mind gets in the way. To me,
Yes.
it's not a. It's not a thinking process. What do I think I should do? No, it's a listening process. So you've asked, oh, how can I best help this person that needs assistance? Hmm. Okay. Then we don't think, just listen. You
You
quiet
know
the
what else
mind
I
down.
say though? You know what else I say though too, because I will run into people that really want this so badly. They really, really want it. They're really committed. And maybe we're in a class together and there's always people say, I didn't see anything. I didn't experience anything. And everybody else did, right? And then they start to doubt themselves and think I shouldn't be here. And right, the only person we should be measuring ourselves against is ourselves. Hopefully we can do at least as well, if not better, the next day, right? So for people like that, right? Some people can't hear. So I'll say whether you hear, see, sense, or feel, and if you don't, that's okay. Give yourself that permission. It's okay because spirit may show it to you in a different way. You
Hmm.
may
Hmm.
not hear it. Pay attention to the signs and the symbols around that show up with frequency or lyrics to a song or whatever that may be, right? Because for you and for me, I'm one of those people too, very clairaudient. I hear very clearly. For yourself, you described the voice that you were connecting with how you said old English, like you don't speak that way, basically.
No, that's correct. Yes. Yes.
For me,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
The words will come, the answer will come, as you say. Could be the lyrics of a song, or you pick up a book and you go, oh,
This is,
that's
or
the answer.
that's
That's it.
perfect.
Whatever. Or somebody says something to you and you go, oh, I got that. Or then
Exactly.
again, it's there. It's a feeling.
Mhm.
Oh, where did that come from? Oh, I got it. Then, of course, you have to act on it.
But
But
trusting, right?
mhm,
Trusting that the answer will come. It will meet you when you are ready to receive it. And with the clairaudience, for example, and people will ask you, do you hear a voice? And some people do. Some people hear a different voice. For
mhm,
me, it's my inner voice, but it doesn't speak the way I speak.
yeah,
So I know it's not me. And then I always tell people if it's meant in love, and there's no judgment, and it's meant for your highest good or somebody's else's, right? And it's coming from that perspective.
yes,
And then I say
yes,
give yourself permission to follow it. If you can't trust, maybe give it an hour or two a day. And when you hear that inner voice, however it may be, or whatever signs you see, if you feel that they're meant in love and for somebody's highest good, including yourself, give yourself permission to follow it for a while and see what happens. Mhm.
yes. Absolutely. And what I've learnt now, and it's only taken me 67 years, uh, but every day I will make space, uh, half an hour or meditation, tune out, turn the mind off. Don't play things on computers or phones.
Mhm.
Just go into a zone. Do the ironing in your zone. Don't think. But that's when it's like the sleep state. We're shutting down the conscious. mind. So the monkey mind.
I hate that term, but you're so right. There's another way to describe it because everybody thinks that's what runs a show, and it's not even close. And then the problem is, especially with life, and especially in developed countries, not even developed, everybody's busy. You're busy, and you're running around, and then there's electronic devices and everything else. But like I call meditation my workspace. So, where I usually connect, I'm a night person and I love to be creative. I love resin, I love sculpting, anything creative. So, I always am doing that every day, but it's at nighttime usually when things are quiet and the mind is kept busy doing something while the rest is open to receive, right?
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
that's exactly it. And it's a easy daily practice. Whether it's 5 minutes or half an hour, it doesn't really matter, I don't think. But taking time out to connect with that spirit, that loving spirit that is waiting there to serve you with
I'm
the
so
answers.
glad you said this because I always say it's not my job to judge. We're human beings, so we can judge. And I know people mean well, but I will have sometimes a guest come on that is deeply into meditation and it has been profoundly life changing for them. But they are of the belief that you basically what people think meditation is, especially in, I don't know, like probably, I'll say developed countries that you see with TV and movies stuff. You have to go be sitting in the lotus position for 2 hours and you may not let a thought enter or anything. I think just making the effort, right, for exactly what you said, setting aside that space and trying different ways to get there. Like just focusing on your breath. I have a mind that goes 90 miles a minute. If I sat
Mm,
there and focused on my breath, it doesn't work. But that's the thing I think with connecting with spirit. And I try and explain it too. You can't force it. It's just got to flow like water. It really does. Being open, being in the right state, and just let it and trust that it will come
mhm.
because it will. Ask
It
and you
will.
shall receive. And I'm not a
Yeah.
big religious person, but it is so true. Build it and
Yes.
they will come.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Mhm.
That's my understanding totally of how it works.
I agree. We've got quite a few questions. I could talk to you all. I could talk to you forever. And you know that. That's what happened the last time.
Yeah, I did.
We've got. Oh, I want to say hi to Julie Jean Bassett. You guys know I always give her a shout out. Amazing animal communicator. I took my first animal communicator course with her. And she's also an incredible shamanic practitioner. She's helped me with two of my animals, and she's also helped me quite a bit with a lot of healing. Even us healers need healing from other people. So she's incredible. So check her out at juliejeanbassett.com. So Kasoon, who is over in Sri Lanka, says, Kasoon Lee, question please. In popular Hindu Buddhist philosophy, the goal is to get out of the cycle of birth and death. And to achieve that, you got to be human, and no angel or any other form of life cannot achieve enlightenment. Enlightenment? Any opinion, please?
Now, that's a very good question. That this karmic cycle is very much a part of the life and death process. But I put it back to me personal. What I recognise in myself now
Mhm.
is when I'm an old guy with grey hair and that I'm still
Age
trying
is
to
just a
keep.
number.
But that that's not a disabling impediment. To me, it says, Stephen, you have been gifted with a divine opportunity to achieve enlightenment, both for yourself and for others. That's your job. Do the best you can. You've got limited time. Don't wait. Don't be afraid. It's okay. I'm with you. Go about your business.
Mhm.
So that's what we do. It to if at the end of my days, when I draw my last breath and I've done my very best with the gifts that I've been given, then then I'm a happy man. Call that enlightenment if you will. Others, some may not, but I've done my best, and I'd be a happy man.
I have to agree with you because I often say when I'm working with people, or, because we usually end up having quite a bit of conversation, regardless if it's a reading or healing or teaching. And I always say that we tend to, and it's hard not to, but we try to look at higher spiritual concepts with human eyes. So we look at it the way that we would with human life. And right now, what people forget is, and I truly believe this, that we are, want to call us supernatural, want to call us everlasting energy source, a soul. We go on forever. And right now, our body is not who we are. I always say it's almost like a car that we drive, that we're leasing in this lifetime. Our body is not, it's the vehicle. It's not us. It's the vehicle that allows us to experience humanity or being a human being in this particular lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I understand why these are great questions. We've got more. Is just we're looking at it from a human perspective, right? Trying to understand. Does that make sense to you at all?
Oh, absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. And I must tell you that what I saw through the writing process, there were souls that were at particular levels, and it was made very plain to me that one can stay where you are and be, and everything in heaven is of service. It's all love and it's all of service to others. So you can be where you are in service to others, or you can continue to evolve up through the many different higher levels of the heavenly realm. That was made very plain to me. And in Athar's case, that's what he chose to do.
Mm-hmm.
So he was able to confront issues that held him back, the pain and suffering that had occurred in life. He was able to confront. He, I'm giving away a bit of the book, but he was able to confront uh, the priest that had abused him in life, and this priest was stuck in this very terrible place.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but he was able to forgive, and
Mm-hmm.
that released the burden from himself and also enabled that priest to evolve somewhat from this parlous state that he was entrapped in. So uh, that's enlightenment. That's
Well, I think that it is. And, everybody's here for a reason. Like I always will tell people, I will never tell you when you come for a reading what your path in life is. I can certainly help and assist, but most people know why they're here, whether they think they do or they don't. And if you don't, I always say you can't go wrong with always going to love and always think, being in service to others. Now, that doesn't mean, and I'll tell them this, that you can't have boundaries and you can't have a lot of other things to be able to function in this human lifetime, but you can never go wrong with love.
right.
Two videos I have that I share, and I don't have a big YouTube channel. I don't use it for that. I use it for backup for the show mostly, but I have some teaching videos on there. And one of them, there's two videos. One of them is how to create a love shield for those that feel very sensitive empathically being out and feeling like they can't go into a crowd or whatever that may be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what do I use? Love. And I tell them it takes longer to watch this video than it will for you to recreate this in the morning or whenever you choose to do that. And the reason why I chose love, in concert with spirit creating this is I don't think there is any more powerful emotion. Do you?
So sorry, Lorilei, I just missed that last bit.
I
So,
said,
sorry, say
I
again.
said, okay, I said the reason why I chose love to create a shield energetically for people
Mm.
is I don't think there's any more powerful emotion than love.
Ah, I've got you. Yeah, no, absolutely, exactly. And all of the places I was shown and taken to in the heavenly realm, there was never once an absence of love and the guidance of spirit. That was that, that is what heaven is. That that's how the heavenly realms are made up. It is love, and there was never an absence of that.
How a friend of mine, she's had such a profound life, and she's never had an actual near death experience, like literally being in university. I went to with had friends over on a Friday night this years ago and went to stand up to go get something from the fridge, I think. And literally they said she was just standing there frozen. It was like she was shown the universe and what heaven was like and all kinds of things. And she said when she came out of it, it was like, oh my gosh, I know what my life purpose is. I know why I'm here. Why am I in university? Like I need to get to she completed what she was meant to do. But my point is I always love how she described it. And she said, love isn't a big enough word. She said, I call it a
Mm.
love soup. Because if you think about it, right, we make this really complicated soup and you take all these different ingredients, right? They're all separate. But once we puree them and put them all into a soup, it's so integrated it becomes one dish, right? Could you pull out all the separate ingredients again? No, there is no separateness. It's all one thing. And it made so much sense to me.
Yes, it does. Yeah, I hear you. And one of the most profound, we were talking about questions before, one of the most profound questions to ask oneself when confronted by dilemma or challenge or whatever is, what would love do next?
Yes, yes.
It's a very simple, straightforward question. And then same again, you start to listen, but you've asked the right question. What would love do next?
And
And
that
that
will
makes sense.
guide you. That will
Yeah.
always guide you, no matter who it is in life. If you really know what love is, and I've yet to meet a person, it could be the most evil you could possibly think of. Not that I've met the most evil person you could think of. My point is that somebody has always loved somebody or something in life. I really believe that. And if you can gravitate to what love is, and like you said, ask yourself, what would love do? You'll never, you'll never be drawn in the wrong direction.
Yes,
I
correct.
was going to add to Kasun's question. He said, P.S. As to Hindu Buddhist philosophy, enlightenment is breaking the stronghold of the ego. I'm going to throw one thing in there quickly. You know what? I used to hear this all the time in spiritual classes and with mentors and things. You've got to banish the ego, get rid of the ego. There is no other path to spirituality. And this is no judgment, nothing with what you're saying. And I really appreciate everything everybody is sharing here. But this I felt was really important is one mentor I had said, the ego is there for a reason, just like everything we have, whether it's mentally, physically. I mean, people will tell you the appendix isn't useful. There's a purpose for it. There's other parts of our body we may think aren't useful. It's all there by perfect design. Well, so is the ego. It's meant to keep us safe at times. And so, what this mentor taught us to do is to invite the ego part of ourselves to be a curious participant on the sidelines, if you will, personalize it, that he or she can sit on the sidelines, still feel included. If I need your help, I'll ask. Otherwise, please just. And I thought that was so beautiful,
Yeah.
because it's there. As much as you try and banish the ego, and that's probably why you shared what you did, because it's hard to banish it.
Yes. Yes, that's very interesting. One of the other things, yeah, and it's a very profound question that is asked. But I agree, that we all have an ego, and my goodness.
Mm,
But the one of the keys, I think, is intention. So if I go out with purpose to hurt you, to harm you, then I got trouble because I've done things with intent.
mhm,
So, and then I would bear the consequences of that action
mhm.
in the heavenly realms. So, to me, intention is so. But if I do things out, if I do something out of love, I've done my best with a heart full of love. I'm not going to go too far wrong, I don't think. But if I intend to do harm or cause malice, then I think, uh, mm, look out, look out in the heavenly realms, because
Well,
that incident is going to come back and bite you somewhere.
the other thing is, and I'll ask for Contessa. Thanks for being patient, guys. Um, what the other thing, going back to something we were talking about earlier, is about how powerful human beings are. And if we break everything down to energy, right? Everything right down to thoughts, words, and emotions are some of our most, and intentions, some of our most powerful energy forms we have. I know it's going to sound crazy to some people. I had some pretty dark paranormal things in my home that were confirmed, and I did cleanse my home. That's going to sound crazy, but I also have quite a few friends in this field, obviously, right? And I had 4 different people say to me, that was sent to you. So, what I say to people, building off of what you said, whether people believe in this or not, that some people are pretty powerful when they're angry or there's hatred or there whatever that may be. So sometimes there's repercussions. And even people won't believe in magic and spells and things like that. I am not a witch. I tell people that. Not that there's anything wrong with being a witch, but I'm not. But I've looked at it, and as I understand it, that you're going to send something negative or wish something untowards to somebody, there's always a price to pay. And if we're
Correct.
going that, if you don't pay it here, it sounds like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. That's absolutely correct. I mean, it comes back, I think, to that law of attraction. So
Yeah.
if we think negative, we think angry, if we, that that's what you attract. If and that's what you emit. But if we feel love, that
Hmm.
of it, we feel gratitude, we feel uh, the 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 element of forgiveness, then that's a law of attraction unto itself.
I agree 100%. Now, Contessa is asking us, why do you think that everyone's experience is different? Meaning the near death experiences are so different from one another. Is the afterlife not the same place for everyone? That's a great question.
Oh, it's a wonderful question,
Hmm.
um, and subsequent to writing this book, I've like you,
Oops.
I've you research and you listen to other people's stories and you think,
Mhm.
wow, some of those are really well,
Profound.
doesn't they're right out there.
Mhm.
Um, I we're given the message that it's like a coloring book. We're given the message in the colors that we understand.
Mhm.
So if we're shown things through a context that we understand. So, I mean, many people through their NDEs see religious figures that they believe in. That's being shown love in the form that we understand, if that
Absolutely.
makes sense. I think that's how it works. So you are shown what you need to see in the form that you best understand it in the vehicle that is best to explain it, if that come out as English. So,
No, I
um,
agree.
so you would, if you believe firmly in the Buddha or Jesus, you would see that loving kindness in that form. It's all
Mhm.
love, but it's just being shown to you in the cloak of that which you understand.
Well, it's even the same. You guys, before or I'll finish my thought here. It's the same as people. As I understand it, angels don't have a gender, nor do they have wings. But somebody may see an angel, or I've seen images of angels caught on film or in a picture, and they have wings. And I always say, even as like I said, I do help. I've never wanted to work with anything dark. That's why I chose angel cards and angels, and I've always loved angels. And my current partner had said to me years ago, Laura, if you're going to be working in this field, you need to be aware of both to know the difference, right? But my whole point is that I think, like, say somebody's having something scary going on in their home or something creepy, or they're not sure if it's paranormal, and then they'll say something like, is that my mom or my relative or whomever? And I usually ask them, were they pretty loving person and, would never do something like that in life. And they say no. Then no, I don't think it would be your loved one. Like if they were a trickster and a jokester in life,
Mm.
yeah, they're probably going to show up for you that way to let you know, because I think that spirit, my whole point is where spirit shows up is what you're ready for and you're able to receive and accept, and that it won't be scary for you. Basically, it'll feel differently.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And Lorilei, I don't again. I can't remember if I explained this in our last discussion. The I was taken to a place called the Abode of Reunion. Does that ring a bell?
I don't think so.
It's
Before
very
you get
interesting.
into that, I'm going to let people know on Facebook. I don't know what has happened over here, guys, but your comments all disappeared from Facebook. I'm going to see if I can find them while Stephen's sharing this with you. I'm so glad you brought that up because no, we did not talk about it. But if you want to, feel free to come over to UPRN. It'll be under UFO, Paranormal, and United Public Radio on YouTube, or you can also come over on Facebook to Canada's Most Haunted. Oh, wait, not Facebook. Sorry, my YouTube. I've got somebody buzzing me. I'm trying to read this and think of all this. Please forgive me, guys. Or my YouTube, The Angel Rocker Tribe with Lorilei. Please, what was the name of it again?
The Abode of Reunion.
You did not tell me this.
Ah.
Mhm.
Again, I'm just writing what I'm seeing or being shown. So we're standing on with a guide, standing on top of a hilltop, and there was a dale, beautiful trees and things there, and there's these massive people, souls, and to the side there were the mists, the mists I described.
Okay, you talked about the mist, yeah.
Before. And over, not through, over the mists were these like silver cords.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting. Again, I make no judgment. I'm just writing what
You're
I'm
observing and
here.
recording.
So I said to the guide, the master guide, what is this place? And then, funny question. And we get taken down into amongst the people. And what it was, and what was described to me, is when we sleep,
okay. Oh, okay.
the soul is able to transit, the soul leaves the body, and it's connected to the silver cord, and it goes over the mist. So remember, you don't go, if not through the mist, these judgments, you're missing all of that. So you get straight to this dale where you meet up with someone, a loving kin, or an angelic spirit that is there to help you with some dilemma that you have. In a case I described in the book, it was a son had transited, was going through some problem, dilemma, and he'd met up with his mother who had passed. And the mother was giving him guidance as to what to do. And then he received this message, and the body calls him back. He wakes up. So the body then leaves that dale and goes back to itself. But my understanding was there were so many of these meetings going on, so many of these chords. It was hard to describe. But the premise was that when we sleep, the soul is able to cross over to meet up with,
I believe that,
a kin, a loving
kin.
kin.
Said the silver cords. I went, oh, didn't you see my face? I knew right away where you were going to go.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure we've all had the experience where we wake up and we've gone to bed with a problem at night, and woken up and gone, oh, I've got it. I know the answer. Then sometimes we forget, but that's my understanding now is what happens. Where if we before we go to sleep, we connect, feel the love we have for a kin or an angelic being or a guide or whoever. We have a problem that needs to be solved. So having made that connection in love before sleeping, then when we sleep, we're able to transit over to this area.
I agree with you. And the other thing that I try to do is when I lay down at night, I try to do it in the morning too. Sometimes in the morning, it's a little crazier because the minute I get up, I'm off and running. But at nighttime when I lay down, first of all, always be thankful I have a bed that it literally feels like a cloud when I lay down in it because I'm sore usually and tired. And then I go over everything I'm grateful for and the things that I did during the day. And I also, what did I learn today? The last thing I do as well, sometimes I will ask for a spirit to connect with me or a loved one, yes, is I create the bed becomes a healing bubble to heal anything I might need overnight that would serve my highest good. Because I always talk about that we can't pour from an empty pitcher, right? If we're working in this field, well, anybody, I shouldn't make it sound like that, with anybody, right? If we don't nurture ourselves and love ourselves and fill that pitcher back up, eventually we're going to be pouring from an empty pitcher for constantly, trying to follow this type of path we're talking about. Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. Hey, Lorilei, I've just warned you and your listeners because
Mm-hmm.
I'm on this hotspot. My
Yeah.
battery on my phone's getting a bit low. So
Oh,
hopefully we can get through 2020.
you
I
can't
don't,
plug.
I don't,
Oh, you
I
can't
don't
plug
want to
it
opt
in.
out. If I disappear into blackness.
Oh no, you can't plug it in. That's too bad. Oh,
uh,
have you
well,
got it, Corey?
just give me 1 second. I'll
No,
disappear
yeah, go
for.
ahead, because I got lots of stuff. I got to say hi to Howie and a whole bunch. Go ahead, grab your cord,
Okay, I'll
because
be
we don't
back in a
want to
second.
lose you. We want to soak up every second.
No, no, no.
So, hi, Howie tips his top hat and a curtsy and says, don't forget to check out, he doesn't say this, I do, Riff Nation Network with Howie Odell. He's got an incredible little network over there. Not little, it's a good size one. And he's got the Orion effect too. He's got a great show. Kasoon just says, sorry, my brain just went into overdrive. And Sandra Sharp just popped in, said, hi, everyone. We're going to get back, Contessa, to your question, because I think this is what Stephen and I could talk for hours, I swear. And the last time he was on here, the show is completely different. And I knew it would be from the one that we did at the end of November. So, yeah, well, I'm going to ask him. I'll answer when he comes back, he can give his perspective. So Contessa asks, why do you think that everyone's experience is different, meaning the NDE experiences are so different from one another? Is the afterlife not the same place for everyone? People have near-death experiences for a variety of different reasons. I have seen people talk of having 4, 5, and 6 near-death experiences. Not often, but I've heard of it. And I think that we have near death experiences for a variety of reasons why we have near death experiences. Sorry, Stephen, just answering about the near death experience question Contessa asked about the one in the left hand corner, and then I know you'll give your perspective too while you get settled. So I think it's not so much that, like, I think we're looking at what you're asking. It's a great question. You're asking, is the afterlife not the same place for everyone? Well, what you've heard from Stephen's experience and perspective, not necessarily. And what I believe is, first of all, we won't know all the answers ourselves till we go back home, as I call it myself. But also the near-death experience, there's a reason why people have a near-death experience, right?
Yes,
Like the
yes,
spiritual path, maybe you're not on your path. I mean, there are just a plethora of reasons why people will have a near-death experience. What I can tell you, though, I have yet to meet a person or read about them or they're talking about it that they have not come back completely changed for the good. And I'm not saying they were bad when they went into it, but they usually do a 180 from whatever they were doing before. Or
yeah,
better than
yes,
what they were doing before, I'll say. Mhm.
yeah. I think that's exactly right. And it's a wonderful question,
Mhm.
but let's lift it up. Let's elevate the question somewhat,
Perfect. Mhm.
because to me, it's the meaning you give it and the actions
Ooh,
so
absolutely.
it was a profound. I fall off a ladder. It was a profound experience. Uh, in hindsight, it was a great gift.
Like I
It's
told
like,
earlier, my
yeah,
paranormal experience, I wouldn't wish it on a blade of grass. And I only say that for a fact because I always say connected, all of us, we are. But not that I'm any better than a blade of grass, but so people can get the concept. But again, yeah, it was how I perceived it. I could have been bitter and negative and angry and whatever, but no, I looked at the gift in it, right? But that's how
Yes,
we can look at everything that happens once
yes,
we give ourselves
yes,
time to heal. Go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off there. Go
yeah.
ahead. I was
No,
going
no,
to.
no. That's fine. But it's the meaning you give it. So for example, I could have fallen off this ladder, written the book, and gone, oh well, I've written the book. Oh well, now I'm going to retire.
Mhm.
Now we're going on holidays anyway. Um, but to me, it opens up a divine purpose that I wasn't aware of before. Stephen, you have a job to do. However long
And they
you,
remind you though, right? Like everybody's story, they get reminded why you can't. Some people I have run into or seen or heard about, they're given the choice. You can choose to stay. Like there was one that really stuck with me about a woman that had just given birth and she died in childbirth and she really didn't want to go back. And they said, well, you can really stay if you really want to. But they also showed her that your job isn't quite complete and this is how your child's life will be should you choose to stay,
yes,
right? Mm-hmm.
yes, interesting. Oh, you've did, last time did apropos to children and the love of children. This is a very profound experience. Did I describe to you the hall for children last time?
No, you didn't. And I knew there
Oh,
was Stephen, the way we're going, I'm gonna have you back on again. And then you'll have your second book written probably by then too.
well, who knows?
Mhm.
Uh, let me give you. This was such a profound experience in the writing of. Even now, I get chills when I recall how it transpired. Again, with the master, I got taken into a beautiful building, and don't think office building. Think uh, Greco-Roman type architecture, beautiful marble
Mhm.
alabaster type buildings,
Mhm.
colonnades.
Mhm.
And we walk into, and there's this blue haze through this building, and it's shining, sort of shining through these windows and things. And the love I felt when I walked into this place was so profound. I even feel it now. It's like tingles on my back.
I'm getting
Uh,
tears because it's like I almost feel like I've loved children so much, I always have, and it's just like when people start to talk about these things, like I said, I don't remember my own experience, but it's like it brings it back, if you will. Go ahead,
there you
sorry.
go.
Mhm.
So we walk with the guide, walk into this place, and there's all these rooms, and in the rooms are these angelic beings. Beautiful. Uh, I remember blue, vivid blue colours in the robes, and in the rooms are these babes in fledglings, children, souls that have passed early, and that in this place they were so beautifully nurtured by the Heavenly Father and his angelic hosts. So, my profound understanding is God forbid one would lose a child young and the grief one would feel. But to know that every child, without exception, is so beautifully nurtured by the angelic hosts and they are brought to their prime of spiritual well being. Every child, even if the bond between the parent and the child is somewhat fractious,
Mhm.
every child, no exceptions, is brought to the prime of their spiritual health. So, as I say, to lose a child early would be such profound grief, but to know that that child, that spirit, is so beautifully nurtured by the Heavenly Father and his angels
I'm
is,
so glad you shared that. I think that's going to help a lot of people. And some of the stories that have the most profound effect for me, and I really and I will study it for years and still do, is the story of children who either remember their previous life or the things that come out of very young children's mouths, like I can remember one story. This mom had had miscarriage after miscarriage after miscarriage after miscarriage, and finally had this pregnancy. Went the full 9 months, and she had a little boy, and he was barely 3 years old. And one day, I don't know, she was getting him ready for bed or something, and he said, "I'm so glad I stayed this time." And she said, "What, honey?" She said, and he said, in obviously childlike language, but he basically said that he tried to come many times, and then he was afraid and wanted to go back home.
Oh,
And
mm,
yeah, and he said, "I finally was brave enough to stay, mommy, and I'm so glad that you and daddy are my parents." And I was
oh.
like, I'm getting in tears just sharing it, because the
How-
innocence of a child, and even as a medium, I'm getting totally covered in goosebumps and
yeah,
tears. And I'm not an easy crier, but tears, because children do show you that I believe that 100%. Honestly,
yeah,
Stephen, they are so well loved and cared for and
yeah. Yes.
cherished a
Oh,
lot.
that was. I mean, there were many profound experiences in the writing of the book, but that's one that just sticks with me. The feelings, as I tried to describe before, walking into this building, it was being like covered in a blanket of love. That's probably the
I
best
like
way I can
that.
describe it.
Mhm.
And the angelic hosts that were there nurturing these babes in arms. Beautiful, so profoundly beautiful.
You know what? This doesn't compare, but I worked in the NICU, and we had a lot of sick babies, and parents sometimes couldn't be there, or especially if we had a baby that was up for adoption and we were waiting. Sometimes it would take a month for things to get settled and whatever. And we would all fight over the baby, because all of us, like, I wasn't a mom then. I couldn't work up there if I was a mom now. I just couldn't. But we'd all be walking around. Obviously, if you had a critically ill baby, you wouldn't. But, if we used to call it the peanut gallery, so we'd have a lot of little preemies in there that just needed to be tube fed like every hour and changed and whatever, right? They need to sleep to grow. So all of us would have and it didn't happen often, but if you had a baby that didn't have a parent, we would just love that child. Was so loved, is what I'm
Mm,
trying to say. It wasn't left laying in a bassinet or a cot or anything. We were constantly, right? Because
yes.
children are our future, right? And maybe you think maybe that's how the Heavenly Father looks at them too, right? I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's heaven on earth. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Profound experiences. And it's all these things, I mean, in many ways are a confirmation from what we know deep in our heart that about the love in the heavenly realms. So it's confirming what, it sort of opens that door, doesn't it? And says, yes, I kind of knew that, but now I really know that.
Well, it gives you, I like to call it, well, sometimes actually I call it evidential proof, right? Because we do know these things, but again, whether it's the ego, well, it is the ego talking us out of that it's coincidence, or it's just a fluke, or it's whatever it is, right? And that's what, again, where I go back to, why not give yourself permission and allow yourself, even if you can only handle an hour, and you start seeing things like this happening, because the more we notice it, the more it happens, because we
Mm,
get into the laws of energy, right? Like
mhm,
attracts like energy,
mhm,
right?
mhm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And one of the
Excuse
one
me.
of the profound questions I've asked myself in subsequent to writing this book is why was it given to me in this form? And I've challenged myself over that. But what I understand, because this book written through the eyes of Athar, it's in story form. You believe it or
Yes.
not, it's in story form. And I go, why? Why wasn't I shown some other method? And my understanding is that the story is the key. So we could read a book like this, and like we read any book, we read it literally, and we go, "Ooh, yes, I like that." Ooh, no, I don't.
Mhm.
Okay, we can read it. We can read uh, the allegories. We can read the messages in it, the allegories at a certain level. But then again, we can read it more deeper. We can read it into the metaphysical, where the universal laws, the laws of heaven and earth are revealed.
Mm-hmm.
But even deeper than that, and we've no doubt all had the experience, we read a book and we go, aha, I've got that. That's it. What that is a mystical revelation. It's a confirmation of our own inner truth. So the story form opens the door to that mystical truth. We go, oh, read it. Oh, man, that is so true.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I understand. I was given the.
We've only got like 3 minutes this week, but I hope you're going to come back because, like I said, like once again. But you know what? When you went to grab the cord, I said I had you on it again at the end of November, and this show is nothing like the other show was, and I knew it wouldn't be.
There you go.
We're
No,
never.
very good. No, it'll be a
We're
pleasure.
never.
Well, it's been such a pleasure to be talking to you and your
I
listeners.
know. We're both so busy, and I know when I have you back on again, that you'll be able to tell us all about your travels over to the Scottish Isles and the castle.
Yeah. Well, we're away from until basically the last week in July. So back after that.
I have the same booking link, and I may get you to do, because remember I got you to do it right after the show. And
yeah. You just send me the link and we'll give me a month or so after the event, because that's when the revelations I'm sure will occur.
We're
we'll have this
booking into September already, so
somewhere around September is kind of cool.
Okay, well, I'll send you the link, and then it'll give you lots of time, and because that's what we did the last time, and look at how fast this went by. So where can people find you and buy this incredible book of yours? And I know you've written other books as well. So where can they get a hold of you?
Well, probably the best way is, well, two ways. You can go to my website, www.stephenchong.com.au, and that's Stephen with a PH.
Yes.
And all, there's links there to Amazon and all the book sites and depositories. So, or you can just go straight to Amazon or one of those Barnes and Noble sites and just type in the Afterlife, a journey too.
Mm-hmm. I know, because I referenced yours. I always leave a link where to get a hold of my guest and how to get a hold of you. But I like you to tell people for people listening too. So thank you. Thank you for being here.
It's been, and thank you for staying up late too.
Well, it's not late for me yet, because this show, it's always so hard to tell a time difference, because Kasoon, like I said, we usually have Mish here from Australia, but she might be busy at work today because it's morning time for her. I forget where she is in Australia, but she usually pops in at work if she can. So Kasoon, I think him and I are 10 and a half hours apart. And right now it's almost 8:00 p.m.
Oh, it's 10 a.m. now.
Yeah.
So that's fairly civilized, isn't it?
Everybody is, yes, it is. Everybody's saying thank you about your book and everything else. I knew they'd enjoy you. And like I said, we'll have Stephen back on in the fall, all of you, and we'll see where he is. No pressure or anything with his new book coming out and his travels. You're always ahead of me, Kevin. Sorry, would you say, Stephen?
Oh, no, it's just saying thank you. Thank you for having me again. It's been wonderful to be with you.
It just flew by. So Z-Sun Dragon, or Kevin, is on the East Coast, and they're an hour ahead of where I am. I'm sort of in the middle of Canada, and Kasoon in Sri Lanka says it's 5:25 a.m. there.
Oh, that's a bit early.
And if I missed anybody saying hello, I thought I caught everybody, but Facebook is jumping in and out on here. We've had crazy things, but we made it. So thank you again, Stephen. We made many concessions, and it worked because I wanted to hear you. Also, go ahead, Stephen. Were you going to say something else?
No. Sorry, I lost that last little bit.
Oh, I just said thank you for all the concessions that you did.
Oh, okay.
We wanted people to hear you.
No problem.
if you guys are enjoying what you saw in here, stay tuned because we've got the Horsefly Chronicles coming up right next with Julia and Phil Syracusa. So stay tuned. I will be back next Monday with the Angel Rock. I did look at the name, Nicola Amadora. She's a newer author. We haven't, not a newer author, but new author to our show. You know she's going to have a great book because she was recommendations courtesy of Gavin. He sends me all the incredible authors like Stephen. So stay tuned, and you'll see me on Thursday with David. If you head over to the thing at the foot of the bed on here, same place, but 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. on UPRN on Thursdays. Don't forget about our group, the thing at the foot of the bed. When we get to 200 people, we're just at 100, I believe. David and I are going to start going live in that group randomly, maybe doing one question readings or what have you. So you can find it on Facebook. I also have two groups on Facebook, Paranormal University for all things paranormal, and the Angel Rocker Tribe for many of the spiritual things that Stephen and I have discussed this evening. Also, if you ever want to book a reading with me, I do teaching and mentoring. I also do energy healing, Akashic Records, or maybe you've got a show idea or guest suggestion. And I know that my friend Kasoon here has been suggesting somebody. I'll see if I can get a hold of him for the fall. Anyways, you can get a hold of me on facebook.com/the Angel Rock, or better yet, you can get a hold of me anywhere on social media. It doesn't matter where, it'll be under the Angel Rock or Lorilei Potvin. Fastest, easiest way to get a hold of me, though, is on Facebook Messenger under my name, Lorilei Potvin. Thank you again, Stephen. Hang on for one sec after this. Everybody, I send you all so much love and light and gratitude, and we will see you again on Thursday, everybody. Okay, so have a good night. Stay tuned for Julia and Phil next. All right, talk to you soon.